Welcome to the That's Life podcast, where we discuss the ups and downs of life and everything in between. Here's your host, Shane Lakita.
What's up, everybody? Welcome back to another episode of That's Life podcast with Shane Lakita, or otherwise known as Liquidshano. I'm here. It's been a minute since my last podcast, but that's okay. That's okay. Life gets in the way sometimes. It throws us curveballs. It throws us different situations. We had some power outages. We had some bad storms. We had a little vacation time. We had all kinds of different stuff going on. So I didn't really have a lot of chances to sit down and record a podcast outside of the interview that I did last time, which I hope you guys definitely did enjoy, with my friend Daryl Perry, who got on here and talked a lot about his own social media experience and a lot about the things that he's been through in life and all of the dynamics of overcoming adversity to be able to get to where he is. It was pretty inspirational, and he's a good guy, and I loved listening to him and talking to him and jamming out with him. So if you guys do get a chance, check out the last episode of the podcast here where Daryl and I were just jamming out and talking about stuff. But you know, today I just wanted to catch up with you guys because I haven't recorded in a little bit. And of course, my wife looks at me and goes, "Hey, listen, you haven't recorded in a while, and I know that you get edgy and you get antsy if you're not recording. So go record. Go have that therapy that you love to do when you're on the microphone or when you're talking into something, to be able to have a conversation about life or about adversity or about anything that goes on. Go do it. Go have your moment." And she's right. And I was like, I could just lay on the couch here and just relax. And I just got done a full day of work, and I'm working 2 jobs right now to be able to try to make ends meet and everything else. But at the end of the day, I was like, you're right. And here's the thing that I was talking about today, or the thing that I was thinking about today. I was thinking about patience. All right. So let's talk about patience. So I know all of us are probably impatient people when it comes to a lot of things in life, right? How many of us have set our minds and our hearts into doing something, sat down and said, hey, you know what? I want to be able to accomplish that. I want to be able to do that. I want to be able to knock that out. You put the goals down. You set down some smart goals. You got some time constraints to it. You did all kinds of great stuff. You're trying to build and you try to plan and whatever else. And after a day into it, you're like, why aren't I already there? If I wanted to lose 100 pounds, how come I'm not already there? What is the reason that it's taken me 30 days just to lose 10? Or what's the reason that I want to run a half marathon and I can't run a half marathon right now because I'm not up to par of what I need to be? Why can't I just flip the switch? Or what's the reason that I can't go 2,000 miles away without flying and just flip the switch for a teleporter for me to get from one place to the next so I can see loved ones when they need me, or when some emergencies happen, I can be there at the drop of a hat? Patience. And the thing about patience is, I know the old adage of patience is a virtue, and you have to learn how to be patient about things. You have to train your brain on how to do so. But let's talk about what we're up against here with patience, okay? Patience is not a bad thing. Patience builds character. Patience builds strength. Patience also gives you the dynamic of whatever you're going through in life, all the trials and tribulations that you go through, all the things that you've been through, and the falls that you take and the mistakes that you make and all those things. They all build you into who you are. They're the framework of who you're supposed to be. They're the framework of, basically, here's the gist of everything that you've been through, and you're armored like a warrior because you have been through so much. Now, what we do with that is one thing, right? That's a topic for a whole other podcast. But on this topic right here, what I'm saying is patience is part of that. You have to be patient to be able to accomplish really, really great things. Now, sometimes that patience can come in many different forms, right? And most of the time, it's about time constraints. It's about the ability to be able to get things done faster than Joe Schmo, or the ability to get things done because my doctor's telling me I need to make changes immediately, et cetera, et cetera. But look what we're faced with, as I was saying. We're faced with a society that's built around push-button technology. We're in a society where if I want to know what the number one hit song from 1972 was, all I got to do is ask my little AI assistant, and it pops right up. All I got to do is punch into Google, how old is Dolly Parton? And it'll punch right up. If I want to find out how long Genghis Khan was trying to be able to take over the world or whatever it was, all I have to do is just ask the question through Google, through Siri, through all these different things. And the fact of the matter is, we get our answers so fast and so correct and so accurate. So we're trained that we don't have to wait for anything anymore. We just don't. You don't have to break open the Encyclopedia Britannicas anymore. You don't have to read through thesauruses and all these different things and try to thumb through the indexes of all these dictionaries and all this other stuff. You don't have to do the work to be able to try to do so. I believe back then they created patience because we had to do work to get to where we had to get to. Now, is it convenient and it is easy? Yeah, absolutely, 100%. I mean, it's so nice to be able to, as my wife is sitting there watching TV, and I see an actor or actress on TV, and I say, hey, my assistant, I don't want to say it right now, otherwise it's going to go, boop. I say, hey, my assistant, how old is this person? And then they say, this person is 74. And we're like, whoa, no way. We freak out and we're like having a great time with it. So it makes it convenient, makes it fun. Or if I want to listen to a certain song, I can just say, hey, play this song for me. And it comes right up instantly. So there's no need for patience when it comes to society anymore because we can have everything pretty much at the drop of a hat. How about Amazon? You remember back in the day when we used to thumb through the Sears catalogs or the JCPenney catalogs or whatever else and try to be able to pick out things that we might want for Christmas, and you plan ahead for it and you wait for it and you wait for the end of the year on Christmas time frame to be able to wait for certain things. Nowadays, I can easily go in, put in the search bar on Amazon and pop up anything that comes up within 2 seconds with what I want, the size that I want, the amount that I want, and for the price that I want with free shipping if you have Amazon Prime, right? So I'm literally in this whole world where everything is at my disposal so fast and so furious. And so we get trained like this. We're trained. Our brains are going this direction because the world is going this direction. We got self-driving cars, we got electric cars, we got all these other things that are going on, AI that can write theses and books for kids and all this other stuff. I mean, literally, the world is going so fast around us that there's no need for any patience because your patience is actually probably that 10 seconds you wait when the little image is spinning on the screen and you're looking up there going, oh man, you serious? I got to wait like 5 seconds to get that information? That's really our patience. It's no longer days or weeks or months or anything like that. It's now instant gratification and push button technology. That's pretty much what it is. And the problem with that is that we try to be able to take that technology and that attitude of everything coming to us so quickly and turn it over to everything else in life. And some things in life, it's just not that way. Now, even with weight loss, think about this, right? So I have a lot of people that are on this podcast, that listen to this podcast, that are in the weight loss community or trying to lose weight or anything like that. Now, over the years, we've always been in this mentality of you got to eat properly, you got to work out, you got to maybe calorie deficiencies, things like that to be able to work towards losing weight and getting to where you need to be. Well, nowadays, if a person has a struggle losing weight, what can they do? They can go in and get Ozempic. They can go in and get shots that you use for diabetes. They can go in and have lap band surgeries and things like that. Now, not that there's anything wrong with any of those items, because at the end of the day, I'm not a doctor. But the point that I'm making is everything has become so push button these days. You get instant fixes. You get quick gratification. You get faster than furious of anything you want to do. How about the fact of if I wanted to order some Popeye's chicken, I could pop into my app and I can have it here within 15 minutes delivered to my house at my doorstep without even interacting with the individual. Just drop it off on my doorstep and we're good to go. How about the fact that I can easily, within 5 minutes, punch it in one of my apps in my phone and have somebody directly stop by my house, pick me up at my house, know what the price is, have it paid for in advance, and be able to take me to wherever I have to go with these things called Ubers and Lyfts. These are the things that I'm talking about. These are the things that are monumentally convenient for everybody that's out there. And they've made life so much easier for a lot of people, including people that want to work or do those types of things like delivering Uber and DoorDash and all those things, and the technology and the studies and everything else. But the world is going fast. And we're just used to living and navigating within it. Some people are resistant to it, but that's okay. I get that. But at the end of the day, you're literally living a better life, a more convenient life, a faster life because of the things that are out there, the technology that's been advanced, the discoveries that are being made, the scientists that are in the labs, the engineers that are in the workspaces to be able to put all these things together to be able to make your life just that much easier. Now, of course, on the other hand, there's the bad side of that. The bad side of it is so much information, so much stuff is being thrown out there that we don't really know if everything's true. We don't know if the things are false that we're reading on the internets, or we trust that AI assistant that we're asking, how many milliliters are in a cup, and we just trust it because it's got to know, right? So we believe we know what's going on, and we trust the process because it hasn't really burned us all that much. But there's also that double-edged sword, right? The double-edged sword is, how can I find out that information on my own and really dig hard and put the work in? Now, this is what the podcast is going to be all about. Are we willing to put the work in and willing to wait the time that's necessary for us to get the things that we want to, along with using some of the technologies, don't get me wrong. The technologies are there to be able to assist us and help us and move us along, but there's nothing like putting hard work and energy into something, reaping the rewards, and maybe even making a mistake along the way, and knowing that your journey is that much more worth it than just pushing a button and having an instant fix. There's a game I'm playing right now. My family got me into it. We went down to visit my mother this last week down in Florida. Happy birthday, Mom. She turned the ripe young age of 70. And we went down there, and I picked up my sister and my niece along the way, and my son and my wife and I all got in the vehicle, and we drove. We drove the 24-hour drive down, and we drove the 24-hour drive back, and it was a long ride, and it was tedious, and it was amazing to travel with my family. But they got me into a game on the phone itself to be able to play. And a couple of them were already hooked on it. I'm not going to say the name of the game because, there's no promotions, or I don't want to get any trouble for promoting anything like that. But the game itself is a long game, and you try to be able to achieve goals and keep on pushing through. And you play the game, and then there's also a pay option. You can actually pay to play the game as well, but there's a free option. And the free option takes a long time to get to where you need to. And what I found myself doing, and the reason that this really, really picked in my brain, was I started to go, well, I could just spend $10 there, and it'll give me some coins and points to be able to move this forward. Or I could just spend 10 more bucks there, versus waiting the time frame for new things to come into play, waiting the time frame for whatever it is. It's a slow, long burn. And I got frustrated. And I was like, man, I just can't. I just want something to happen right now. I want to be able to push the button and have the things that I want and be able to move it forward. Now, isn't that just sad? And I know I always talk about the fact that we're on this earth for such a short amount of time. And I know that we are here and we should be prepared to be able to maximize our time and jump all over it. I get that. I've said that a million times before. But when things are worth working for, sometimes the patience that you put into it and the work that you put into it, to being patient and waiting it out and working through the kinks and the bumps and the bruises and the bad weather and all the other things that might be thrown at you in your journey of whatever you're trying to accomplish, all those things help build character. They help you learn. They see how strong you are. It proves to you that you can accomplish hard things versus always going the easy route. These things are important in our life, because if we can accomplish hard things, then those easy things, boy, they fly right by. And then the next time another hard thing comes around, we're like, hey, you know what? I did this before. I got this. Let's work on this. Let's knock this out. Let's get this done. Let's do what we have to do. Let's dig in. Let's be prepared to fall and fail. Let's be prepared to take time. Let's be prepared that it may be an overnight versus just a 1 hour evolution. Hey guys, one of the things that I get from a lot of individuals that listen to the show, that watch the show, that follow me on social media is, how can I help the podcast? Well, here's one of the ways that you can. I have a Patreon page. Now, you may not be familiar with what a Patreon page is, but what you can do is you can sign up to become a patron of the show. You could donate monthly to the show. Now, after a few months of donating monthly to the show, there's different tiers to be able to donate to. But you'll get some tchotchkes back. You'll get some merchandise back. You'll get something for actually donating to the show. But in the meantime, it helps to alleviate some of the cost that comes into running a podcast or doing different stuff. So if you're looking to support, I'm going to place the link of the Patreon page right into the bio. And I'll also tell you what it is. It's www.patreon.com/that's_life. And this way, you can support the podcast, you can give back, we can do all kinds of different stuff, and we can grow together. So I appreciate all the support you've given me in the past and in the future and right now. So thank you so much, and back to the show. So patience is almost like a learned thing now. It used to be something that we would preach to, right? Patience is a virtue. Take your time. It's okay. You got to wait it out sometimes. Sometimes you just have to. But 9 times out of 10, you talk to any single person in the United States of America or in the world, and they will tell you, I am not a patient person. It's because society has trained us that way. Society and technology has made us very impatient. And I think that that's kind of sad, actually, if you really look at it. Because our forefathers, our parents, our grandparents, all of them knew how to put in a long day's work, a hard day's work. How many of you are experiencing right now that you see the workforce that's out there and you see all these businesses like restaurants and banks and retailers or whatever else struggle to be able to staff their locations because people don't want to work anymore? They don't. They want to work a couple hours, a little bit, 20 or 30 hours, maybe so, or they all want to work from home and they all want to be able to step away from the workforce because working is hard. Working is difficult. And if I've got the means and the ability to be able to make it easier and quicker and faster and do it that way, I'm all over that like white on rice. When in all actuality, there's value that comes into maybe going into the workplace, maybe going and working and learning how to communicate with people. Not everybody's stuck on their phones with their neck all out of whack, bent downward, looking at their phones all the time because you're working. And you're helping customers, or you're talking to people, you're having conversations. Nowadays, ever since this whole entire COVID situation and all the other stuff that went down, I think we become a society that doesn't want to talk to anybody. I'd rather text to you. I think I said once before on one of my podcasts, I'm sitting there in the car when my son was a little bit younger, and he's in the back seat and he's with a girl, and they're going to go to a date. They're going to go to a movie together. And my wife and I are going to go grab a bite to eat while they go to the movies. So we're driving them to the movies. And the two of them are texting each other in the back seat, not talking, not having a conversation, not opening their mouths, not interacting, just texting back and forth in the back seat. Now, some of that might have been like, I don't want my dad to hear what I'm saying to her or anything like that, et cetera, et cetera. I don't want to be embarrassed. I get all that. But at the end of the day, that's how we're trained. We're trained. We following the masses over the fact that everything is so instant, everything's so fast, we get our answers so quickly, it's all good to go, and you don't have to interact with people. That's one of the reasons why I think society is the way that it is right now in general. When you think about it, we're all angry at each other. We're all pissed off at each other. Everybody's throwing stuff at each other because my opinion matters and your opinion doesn't. We've lost that whole connection of having conversations, digging in, speaking to listen, growing together, enlightening one another, lifting each other up, and doing all those things. They're gone. That art form is gone, and it's sad to me. It's so sad. And think about this, right? So in today's society, what's the one thing you see a lot of kids? They can't sit and watch a whole movie. Why do you think that is? Why do you think they can't sit and watch a 2.5 hour movie like we used to crave going to the movies back in the day? I would be like, man, I don't care how long that movie is. I love movies. It gets me right into the situation. I'm engulfed in the situation. I feel like I'm there. All these other things. As a kid, as an adult, I love movies, right? But kids nowadays, you put them in front of a movie screen, probably 7 out of 10 are like, I can't last more than an hour. And why is that? Why do you think baseball has waned and gone downhill popularity-wise? Because kids don't have the patience to sit through it, because they can watch YouTube and get 30-second clips and 1-minute videos and 2-minute clips and whatever else and get those things done. And their attention span only goes by whatever's given to them. So the stuff that they watch every day on YouTube, on TikTok, on Snapchats and all those things. Even on Snapchat, you send a message to somebody, the message goes away directly after. You don't even have any record of what that message was. It like erases it from some society and from the world. And that's sad to me. Why can't we get back to the basics of human interaction and having conversations and hugging it out and giving a high five and agreeing to disagree and all those things? Why can't we have the patience of sitting down with somebody and just talking about life in general, even if you disagree with them? Me sitting down with a red hatter to be able to say, hey, buddy, listen, I get it. I understand you're passionate. That's okay. I can agree to disagree. We can fundamentally disagree on every single political topic we can think of. But guess what? You're still a human being. You're still a person. And so am I. So let's treat each other like that. Let's treat each other in the way, being patient to be able to work through all of the animosity that I may have internally in my head, even though you've done nothing to me wrong, except support somebody that I might not support. And don't get me wrong, I also want to be very clear on this podcast that I'm neither red nor blue. I'm right down the middle, and I support whoever I think is going to do the least amount of damage. That's kind of where we are anyway. But anyway, that's life. And the patience that you have to put, the work that you have to put into to have conversations with people, to build relationships, to entrust them and feel that they're trustworthy to have conversations with or anything like that, it takes work and time. And people just don't have it. They want the quick information, fast and furious. Like I said before, they get false information left and right, and then they go with it. They run with it. And then they're like, next thing you know, they want to take down everybody around them that isn't agreeing with what their topic is and where they're at with everything, because they feel slighted, or they feel like you're disrespecting me, or you're coming after me, or whatever, those kind of things. And nothing about that is further from the truth, to be honest with you, because I literally want to have conversations to learn more about you. I want to have conversations so that way we can grow together. I want to have conversations so that my neighbor, although we may disagree fundamentally on a lot of things, I still can have a barbecue and have you over to listen to some good tunes, sit back with a couple of beers, and relax and enjoy each other's time and presence, because we're humans. We're not political parties. We're not religious beliefs. We're not any of that. We're human beings. That's what we are. And I feel like we've lost sight of just being kind to each other and loving on each other and making sure that we are supporting each other and lifting each other up and encouraging each other. What happened to those days? I know what happened. I know exactly what happened. Our patience is 0.0. So we don't have the time nor the energy to put the work into forging relationships and building on something that you might want to do. I don't want to overcome the adversity of knowing that that person thinks differently politically than me, or religiously than me, or whatever. I don't want to overcome that adversity. I don't want to have to put the work in to have to listen to somebody. I just want you to hear my voice, and that's it, and I'm out. And that's sad. But that's where we're at. So at the end of the day, the only way that we change the narrative of what this is if we focus on it and we completely work on it ourselves. We are patient with ourselves to be able to put the work in, to be able to do the things that are necessary to be good people again. To change society one action at a time by listening to other individuals. Even if you don't think you have the time to do it, make the time. Make the time to sit down with somebody and learn about them. You never know what you're going to uncover on how amazing of an individual that person may be, even though you may look at the external factors such as clothing or appearance or vernacular or slang or anything like that. We prejudge, and then we don't want to put the work into building or breaking down some of those barriers. We got to get back to that. Love on your brother, love on your sister, right? That's what we should be doing. But we don't. And this comes with anything, right? This isn't just a societal thing when it comes to politics or people or humans or anything like that. This comes to everything, anything you're working on in life. If you're not going to put the work in and you're not going to be patient enough to know that it may not go. Like when I was 20 years old, I could lose 30 pounds and with a snap of a finger. I could go, hey, you know what? I'm going to lose that weight. I'm going to get focused on it. I'm going to either cut carbs out or I'm going to do whatever. I'm going to lose that weight. Of course, then I'd put it back on. But I would lose the weight in no time. Bam, done, right? Not even thinking about it. So then I got in my 30s, and it was a little harder, but that's okay. I still went fast and furious. And then in my 40s, I was like, hey, you know what? As long as I increase my exercise and I'm good to go, I'm all set. Then I got to late 40s and early 50s, and it doesn't happen that way anymore. It takes work. It takes time. It takes energy. It takes effort. It takes patience. Patience is the word that I'm going to be talking about within my own inner voice, in my journals, and everything else for the entire month of June. I have to make sure that I focus on being patient. I planted my garden yesterday. My wife and I took down the whole fencing area, put up a whole brand new one. We mulched it. We hoed it out. We did all kinds of different stuff to the garden. We really did a great job on it. So we got some zucchinis, we got some yellow squash, we got some tomatoes, we got some cucumbers, we got all kinds of a lot of herbs, some basil, all kinds of different stuff in there, right? We put this garden down. And internally, I went out there this morning. I just put the garden in yesterday. Internally out there, I went out there this morning with the little hose, and I was just going to water it down a little bit. I'm like, man, why aren't these things bigger? They should be getting bigger. I'm like, are you kidding me? I just planted those things yesterday, dude. Patience is a virtue, right? But you want it now. I want fresh veggies now. I want this, that, and the other. It's so expensive at the store. I could just grow it on my own, et cetera, et cetera. So my patience is thin. It's light. It's not where it needs to be. Well, yeah, I got to fix that because a garden doesn't grow overnight. It takes time. It takes love. It takes energy. It takes sunlight. It takes water. It takes caring. It takes all those things. And even after all that work you put into it, sometimes the garden doesn't grow the way you want it to. Sometimes you have to just accept the fact that some things aren't going to grow this season, and you want to be able to focus on the things that are growing or learn from what didn't grow, or if the seasons or the weather or anything like that. All these little contributing factors towards a failing garden are things we have to learn from and grow from and build off of. But that comes with patience. That comes with time. That comes with observation. That comes with listening, learning, loving. All these things. So I think we have to get back to that. We have to learn to be patient with each other. We got to learn to be patient with ourselves. We all want what we want right now, all of us. Because when you're in that mentality of average lifespan between 65 and 75 years old, and you're literally thinking to yourself, I have to maximize my time now. I got to maximize my time. Otherwise, I won't be here to be able to do it later on. It's okay. Sometimes the work that you're putting in is also good quality time to be able to put in as well. You're teaching your kids, your grandkids, whatever it is, good work ethic, good patience, and the ability to understand that as you're putting a hard work in and you're checking off the boxes and you're having small little wins along the way, how important it is for you to be able to celebrate in those wins, be able to learn from your mistakes, learn from the wins, and be able to move that forward. But it's a process. It's not a push-button mentality. You have to be prepared for the fact that it's going to take time, effort, and energy. Now, every once in a while, you may get a push button that comes in, right? Maybe you got somebody that comes in and floats you a little cash here and there. Or maybe you got an inheritance, or Maybe something's going on where you and your doctor are looking at each other and you do get something like Ozempic or something like that for weight loss, or you get that new knee and replacement. So now you can walk long distances again because your old knee started to fail. Whatever it is, whatever lifeline that you may be thrown to be able to expedite the process of you to be able to get to the goals that you want to get to, guess what? Take advantage of those. Those are great. But just remember all the work you put in. Remember the time that it took, the heartache that it took, the blood, sweat, and tears that it took. Remember all those things and share it with others if you have to, right? Talk to your family, talk to other people, teach others about the fact that a good day's work matters sometimes. People don't want to work anymore. They want to work, 4-hour day, or they want to do the things that that is the easiest path, not the harder path. They don't want to do the harder path. Sometimes we have to walk down the road of doing the harder path to get to the things that we want to, right? Listen, I appreciate all you guys. I appreciate you listening to me rant on this podcast. Do me a favor, if you don't mind, go into the iTunes app and leave feedback for me. I haven't had a review done in a while on the podcast, and it would be nice to be able to get somebody in there to be able to leave a review or talk about what they like about the podcast, what I could do better, and then leave 5 stars or 4 stars or whatever your heart desires on that. It really helps us out with the podcast, and it's one of those things that I don't ask for often, but I think it's really important. And also, if you do want to become a patron of the show, like the center advertisement that I just put in the middle of this one, you can go to www.patreon.com/that's_life, and you'll be able to sign up to be a patron of the show. You could do it for free, or you could do it for pay. And then if you do it for pay, after 3 or 4 months, you're going to get some freebies out of it, some coffee mugs, some shirts, whatever else, whatever tier that you pick on that one. So listen, guys, I appreciate you guys. And also remember this, just summarizing this whole entire podcast, patience is a virtue. Patience is worth it. It's not easy. It sucks sometimes, but the harder work you put into something, and the mentality that you have that it's going to take a little bit longer than what you really, really think you might want it to take, will only help you in the long run to achieve the goals and be the great, awesome version that you're meant to be. Much love to you all, guys. I appreciate you, and we'll talk on the next episode. See ya.
Thank you for listening to the That's Life podcast. Please leave us a 5-star rating and any feedback on whatever platform you're using.